So I had this book, ended off on this book, but I figured that's enough about dinosaurs. Switch over to something similar as far as storytelling goes. I remember this book. This was one of my favorite books. It was the Muppet Show book. Yep, I remember this book because I always thought this was the front and this how it opened, but when you go in, you see that it was upside down and like, what is going on? So it's crazy, the music in this book. I like it. Yeah. Jeez. even here, people overlookers, people watchers. It's like the desensitization and the fear program you're getting. There's always gonna be somebody watching you, and this is what that somebody looks like. I hate to take it as far as it's something like the Muppets, but this is how I see it. This is what it is. You know, we learn a lot. We get a lot of colors and learning and little parts of here and there. But what the big that's what's being sold every day. My point is, what are we missing out on from all the other channels being suppressed and all the other channels being genocided and taken out, and these whole ideas of racism at its core? Like, where did all this start? Like, so you have like myself, Mexican. Like I would say I was Mexican and black, and so Mexican American and African American makes a Mexican and black. That's what I used to refer to myself as. So these are programs that create our identities. Who we say, who we live in this reality. This going back into just asking the question of, so there's Asian Americans, African Americans, Mexican Americans, Salvadorian Americans. I mean, you can go on and on and on. And then there's like this little area of differences of like Irish Americans don't call themselves Irish Americans, and they just affiliate with something that's a label that's called white. And that's like across the board. That doesn't go to the other boards. Everybody else has very defined sort of understandings of where their culture, where their origins come from. So this whole label, and that's the biggest thing, like labels. What's up with all these labels and division? And we can have labels as part of this experience. But when you start utilizing these labels for magic to control people and for your own benefit, that would kick the planet out of balance, kick the people out of balance, that the people kick the planet out of balance. That's how jacked up these structures have become. And just asking these questions of where are these origins. Oh yeah, okay, so back to the origins of like when, like ask the questions of when did the whole idea of a group of people being called white, like when did that happen? Like what are the origins of that? And what's the beginning of that? And where did it come from? What happened with, where were the origins of white supremacy? Where did that stuff, this is all part of our experience, just like slavery is a part of this experience. And that's not even like half of the story. There's all kinds of other stories that was just the story. That was like the commercial story to be sold to have the deepest enslavement of who the what was called African American today. It's not as watered down like that. There are original people here that have African looking sort of connections and definite African origins from pre-Olmecs, but there are very the Africans that are here right now are pre-Columbian. The majority of the Americans here today, let me get that straight. The majority of the what are called African Americans today are actually indigenous Americans today. Like, these are the stories that don't get talked about. Just in order to create the illusion of these universities even being relevant in a global community, you have to hide these stories. You have to hide these stories of golden ages and golden blood and golden realities that exist. You can't control people who are empowered. So there's an idea of disempowerment that gets sold on a daily basis, and it goes from when they take us out of our mother's womb and circumcise the boys and slap the crap out of everybody else who's come in and create this, like it's like an instant, just like the alarm clock every morning. It's like an instantaneous sort of thing, and then it gets solidified by the birth certificate and the stamping of the feet and the whole idea there, and even how we are born and the how babies are delivered today is not the same as it was in indigenous cultures. It's not. There are deeper connections that are being made, that are meant to be made, from a baby to a mother, and coming out of that whole. That's a whole journey. That's a ceremony right there, and it's treated as a sort of like a robotic mechanics situation. It's not seen as a ceremony. It's being responded to as a situation, and that's some deep manipulation of an entire collective to do that and have that work on cruise control like that. So we have to go deep into what we're really talking about revolution and where things are going, what we want and what we consider change. Because there's going to be stuff that's sold, and there's always stuff being sold to us that's playing, and it's not meant for. It's just another version. Like I said in the other video, it's an amendment to a post-Columbian era. It's like, oh, well, they gotta sell candy. It's like fast food. It's like get it out there, get it going, and quick apologies, if any at all. It's not going to be touching on the depths of enslaving an entire collective, and psychologically and beyond. And like I said, it's not like blaming any one person or any one group of people. These stories have been generations of families doing stuff and not doing stuff. That's the whole thing. And now is the time that we're coming around to doing the stuff that's better for the entire planet and the kids. Cowboy time. Yeah. Wow. So that's the story that is. It's cowboys and Indians that are still getting sold to this day. The whole American thing, and we don't need to be fighting. There's just information out there that we can come into an awareness of and put the pieces together and do it do it in our own format, in our own way. Everybody dancing in their own style to get it together. So there's a difference between like the American dream is just another version of dog eat dog or an eye for an eye. Like those stories taken, like those carnal stories taken to it really is like Cowboys and Indians, the American dream. That's the main thing going on right now. It's taken to a very extreme format when you start bombing people and genociding people and conquering and enslaving and putting your flag on places that are still bleeding. And I'm speaking on like Hawaii and Puerto Rico. I've worked in both of those places, and they just have military places all over the place. It's just the islands are scattered with fear programming, and just think about where those people live on those places. They have to live around that kind of fear programming of having a military presence there. Now they're stuck with that after being conquered by these cowboys. They're stuck with that sort of mentality and that thing going on, and it's how long. That's the thing. How long are they gonna let this play? How long are we gonna let this play? Like it's a matter of us realizing. We always say we're waiting on something, but it's really just us. Like from my own experience, I was in that space of waiting a lot. And then I realized, oh, well, I just need to, share my own perspectives, and then that'll help other people become aware, because it's really about an awareness of what's really going on for us to really do anything first. Before we can do anything, we have to be aware of what needs to be done and what's already been done. And then we can move into what we're going to do. Right now, stuff is being sold to be doing stuff. And we haven't even realized what's already been done or what we want to do, because we don't even know who we is yet. We're still worrying about dog eat dog and eye for an eye, and still got all these war mentalities. Ain't talking about peace yet. Everybody's still talking about a piece of the pie, or their bigger piece, or this piece here. We gotta get these people off the streets. There's people sleeping on the streets, and it's growing, and it's because this system is crashing, and it's imploding into itself, and the people are the ones that are taking the hit, and you can see the changing with the gentrification of the installing of with money, with its financial installments. So like installing communities with monetary manipulation, and just playing with all these imaginary numbers and these housing whatevers, and moving people out. This was happening when I was living in West Oakland. They was just building these apartments, and they put people in there for a little bit of amount of time, and then they kick up some kind of like thing, and then kick them on out of there, and then it's just a whole psychological thing. Like that's not that. Like other kids don't even have to worry about growing up like that. They don't gotta worry about that stuff. There's a whole. The world is literally at their feet. This chess game is first of all, the humans don't have to play a chess game. The collective does not have to play a chess game. Like individually, we don't have to play any kind of chess games. That's all optional. That's starting off first. So the fact that there is a chess game being played on a collective scale is another story in itself. So when you go into that story, you say that chess game is still out of whack. It's still, even if you're going in there, it's not set up fairly. There is no justice there. There is just separation, and it's just going on and on and on, saying one thing but it's selling another thing. and we think it's real because we have some stories that are really like deep. We feel them in our hearts. But even where did those stories, like where did the stuff from the U.S. Constitution, where did that come from? Where did that come from as far as the Iroquois Confederacy, and then the beyond that, where did all these stories originate? And at the same time, what do all these stories that are flying right now, what do they mean? And what are they saying on the subconscious level? It's everywhere. Stories to be told, stories to be sold. They're everywhere. They're all over the place. And we just gotta connect the dots, and we'll see what it is, and we'll see see what it is that we want to do next, and whatever this is, and we're gonna go about our business. We don't need to be busting caps in the kitchen. What you talking about? If we want peace, we gotta be that peace. We gotta figure out how to do that on our own, because it's not gonna be told by people who want war, who want destruction. So we figure out that peace, we can do it. See you next time.